Hello and welcome to Strange Weekly News. In this show, we're taking a look into the news and headlines to pick out curious reports of the strange, the weird, and the mysterious. Anything from UFO news to science advancements, the paranormal, and stuff labeled fringe science and fringe phenomena. Each news item we go over in the show, I will place all the links to them in the description box below once this live show is over, as well as a chapter timeline index. Hello and welcome to all of my first-time viewers and listeners, and everyone watching this live. Today's Friday, you know what that means. We're doing our gift card giveaway for a Starbucks or Amazon gift card. The base price is $10. Jonicide's already bringing in the goods, so now we're looking at $15 right here. And the word of the day, let's pull up this image, is autumn. Why? Because we're getting into the spooky season, everyone. It's almost officially fall, autumn, whatever you want to call it, when the colors of the leaves start changing and we start wearing hoodies and beanies and scarves, all of that fun stuff, right? So the word of the day is hashtag autumn. And then I also want to thank Chris so much for dropping a 20 via PayPal. Now looking at 35. Rock on, starting off this show incredibly strong. So put this word in the live chat if and only if you're watching this live. We'll do the drawing at the very end of the show. This week is filled with really awesome news, and there's one article in particular that I'm very excited to talk about, but we're going to go in the order that we always go in, starting off with UFOs. Come on, you know this. And if you've been following the subject for some time, you may be aware that AARO finally, and I cannot stress the word finally, placing it in all caps and in bold, finally launched their website after a lot of prodding. So let's go ahead and read this, and then I'll actually show you the website as well. But first, I'm going to show you the head of AARO, which is Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick. And then let's go from there. So the U.S. Department of Defense has launched a website intended to be a one-stop shop. I love saying that. For publicly available information on UAPs, more commonly known as UFOs. The site will also serve as an information hub of resolved UAP cases, including photos and videos as soon as they're declassified. Pentagon spokesman Pat Ryan said that on Thursday, referring to when videos become declassified, they'll be posted on the website, and there actually are a few already on there. Again, I will show you that website a little bit later. It says here that the website's other content includes reporting trends and frequently asked questions section, as well as links to official reports, transcripts, press releases, and other resources that the public may find useful. The department is committed to transparency with the American people on AARO's work on UAPs. The website is managed by AARO, and the mission, according to the website, is to minimize technical and intelligence surprises of unidentified anomalous phenomena in the vicinity of national security areas. Now, while the topic of UFOs, UAPs has been pretty frequently, as of recently, has been in the public interest due to the UAP witness hearing back in July, that might have been a relatively big push to this website, as many people were asking, come on, you guys have been here for a while, but no one can report anything. And when they had the UFO hearing earlier this year, Gillibrand said, so when are we going to get that website? When can people start giving you their sightings, specifically referring to civilian and military pilots? And he says, yeah, we're working on it. But if you know anyone that wants to come forward and talk to us, we're all ears. Now, here's the crazy thing. That is one aspect that they were really pushing for, referring to AARO being one that listens. If we go to their website, and let me just pull this up here, because now this is where it's going to get kind of funny. Because if you go to their website, there are some great aspects to it, I'm not going to lie, but there are other aspects that are incredibly disappointing, and this one being one of them, coming soon. And then submit a U.S. government UAP-related program/activity report. When I try to click it, it says reporting coming soon. That should have been the very first thing that should have launched on the website when the website was made public. That should not have been something, and that goes in all red saying coming soon. That is a huge joke, a huge punch in the face for those that really do want to report their sightings. And I find it almost humiliating. I really do here. But aside from that aspect that I had to call out first, there are other things that are rather interesting that I did read a little bit earlier, referring to the official UAP videos. And these are ones that we've seen before, either in previous hearings or ones that have been mentioned by the Pentagon saying, yes, it is authentic. So, of course, from going from the bottom up, we have the Go Fast, we have the Gimbal, we have some other popular ones. This one was at the last year's hearing with Moultrie and Bray. And if you watched that hearing, that was a mess. It really was. Comparing it to the last one that we got with the UAP witness hearings. And super duper fun fact, if you haven't been keeping up with strange news, Mexico is going to be having not just a UAP hearing, they're going to be having an international UAP hearing September 12th. And people that will be speaking include Ryan Graves, Robert Salas, Jaime Maussan, who is a Mexican UFO researcher. We have a Brazilian UFO researcher and even a Japanese congressman. So we're getting people from around the world to represent their countries and their research and to provide it to the Mexican government. When you attempt to look for this online, you're not going to find any articles. And let me tell you how heartbreaking that is. I even checked today just to make sure to stay up to date. But the thing is that if you aren't on Twitter, aka the X, and you're not following those people that I had just mentioned, you probably weren't going to know about it. And that's something that is despicable, in my opinion, because this upcoming hearing in Mexico is going to, from my understanding, from what I've learned so far, referring to the people that are going to be there and their backgrounds, it is going to outshine the one that we just got July 26th in the United States in DC. This one is going to be people from around the world to share their research. So I'm looking forward to that. When I find out who's streaming it, I would love to stream it right here on YouTube Live so that we can watch it together. So please make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you do not miss that stream. Again, that will be September 12th. It's going to be groundbreaking. And hopefully there'll be some new information that we haven't heard of before, have it be in the previous hearing, or for those that have been doing this research for quite a few years or even decades, it would be nice to be presented things that we haven't seen before. So that's going to be really cool. But going back to this website, again, that was just released not too long ago by AARO. We have those videos going on. We have current operational UAP reporting. You have the frequently asked questions at the bottom. Let me find that because I did go ahead and I read it. And it's pretty mundane kind of things. It wasn't anything really that interesting. The link to this website will be in the description box below for you to take a deeper dive into it and to find out things that might have caught your interest or things that you could possibly scoff at and say, really? Because people in the community are having mixed feelings about this website. A lot of them saying it's a letdown. This is a joke of a website. And in some aspects, I do have to agree. The information that is provided are things that Kirkpatrick had mentioned in his funding hearing earlier this year, along with the previous hearing with Bray and Moultrie. There's nothing new on this website. Absolutely nothing new, if and only if you've been following this topic. Could there be room for evolution, for development? I really hope so, especially the aspect of the coming soon part. That better be pretty darn quick. It better be tomorrow, honestly. But the thing is that it's the government. Do they work on the weekends? No, they don't. And that makes me a little sad there. But aside from that, I would like to see some updates on this website. Do I think we're going to get them? Not anytime soon. And in this case, I am a bit of a pessimist just because of how things have been going so far with AARO. I think originally I was very optimistic when we first heard the launch of this office, when we got the the funding hearing that was run by Jill and Brown, thinking like, okay, this is super cool. They're gonna get more money. Maybe with more funding, they'll get more data. They'll be able to provide to the public. I was naive then, and I was wrong as well. And I have no problem admitting it. I have not one issue because this is all about growth and hopefully to improve our intellect. So this is something, in my opinion, there are some aspects that I'm like, okay, I think it's super cool that they did provide the websites and they did provide the congressional reports and briefings, news and press products. I do really like that. But the whole coming soon aspect, it's a big no for me. I'm not digging it. And Crystal, thank you for that, for the gift card. Second live. So excited. Happy Friday, all. Thanks for catching the live. That is so exciting. And for giving to the gift card, looking at 45 right there. That word is hashtag autumn because we are in the season. I went to the store today to do some really quick errands before the show. And as soon as I walk in, I get punched in the face with the smells of cinnamon and pine cones and Halloween decorations and candy everywhere. And let me tell you, I could not have been more happy to go to the store because I despise grocery shopping. I do not enjoy it at all. But today, I was thinking to myself, this is why I'm alive. Like, this is a big plus. Why? Because no one can tell me otherwise. Halloween is the best holiday on the planet. There is no holiday that compares. None. Christmas, yeah, it's cool. I like the snow aspect. And Santa Claus is amazing because he gives gifts to everyone. But Halloween, you get to dress up, you get to be a kid, you get to eat candy, and no one tells you that you can't. That's the highlight of Halloween. But I don't want to get too sidetracked here. Nathaniel's also agreeing with me, best time of the year. I think it's because you're a demonologist, so it has to be the best time of the year for you, Halloween, right? The spooky season. Who said that? I think I almost missed it. Okay, someone said it. Oh, there it is. Hides. It's the spooky season. Getting into our next article here. Closing all this fun stuff up. Still staying in the conversation of UFOs. How many of you are familiar with sports? Very specifically, and I'm trying to look up the team, the New York Jets. Do you know all the players in the game? Do you know all? Yes, I think that's they're called players, right? Okay, so I'm gonna pull this up because some of you might be familiar with this person. As you can tell, sports, yeah, we don't get along. I took track, and that was about it. But Aaron Rodgers had a UFO sighting. And in the final episode of the season, Hard Knocks, which aired on Tuesday night on HBO, that's when he dropped his story. For those that are familiar with this quarterback, that I've been following him for I don't know however long. He has mentioned the story before back in 2016, but now he was providing the story to a much bigger audience. And again, that TV show is called Hard Knocks that aired on HBO. So he was with an old college teammate from Cal, Steve Levy, and he prompted Rogers in a sit down interview to talk about the time they witnessed what they believe was a UFO. And he says here, it was definitely unidentified. It was definitely flying and it was definitely a large object. This took place back in 2005 when he was in New York for the NFL draft. And he stayed at Levy's house in New Jersey. And in the middle of the night, he heard an alarm in the distance and walked outside with Levy and his brother to check it out. He says here, up in the clouds, we heard this sound and we saw this tremendously loud object moving through the sky. It was like a scene out of Independence Day when the ships are coming into the atmosphere, creating this kind of like explosion type fire in the sky. He then mentioned that they all froze. They were looking up in the sky, they were seeing this object, and they couldn't do anything. They were just like in shock. And there are some people that have had UFO sightings that can't even think to pull out their phone and take a picture or to attempt and take notes as soon as possible. They're in this level, like they're in this daze almost to where they're just in shock. And he continues, About 30 seconds later, we heard the real recognizable sound of fighter jets going zoom, zoom, zoom. They seemed to be chasing this object. We just stood there in disbelief for another few minutes. Nobody said a word. Then we all looked at each other like, did we just see what we just thought we saw? And according to Rogers, an alarm from a nearby nuclear power plant went off that night as well. And he says, if you know anything about UFOs, there's a lot of sightings around nuclear energy, around volcanoes, around power plants. And yes, first of all, he's absolutely right. I think it's so amazing that in this segment here on the show, Hard Knocks, he was able to make that correlation to the millions of fans that were watching this that may not be familiar with the history of UFOs. I thought he was definitely giving people justice right there. I'm like, yes, amazing. And what's even cooler, and I've said this before, but for my new viewers and listeners, this might be new to you, it's incredible. And I love this that celebrities are coming forward and they are saying, they're telling their UFO sightings, like Demi Lovato, Miley Cyrus, Kesha had paranormal experiences. Now we have this guy, Aaron Rodgers, telling his experiences. And while people like you and me might kind of shrug our shoulders and say, why do these celebrities matter? They might just be doing it for the money, whatever, right? You might have all these kind of more pessimistic thoughts. These celebrities have audiences that are so vast, so big, so incredible in the millions that they are touching people's minds in the ways that you and I cannot. And it just takes that one question, that one statement, that one story for anyone to go on their own journey and make their own discoveries or to have an interest. I said this yesterday. If it wasn't for Walter Bishop in the TV show Fringe, I would have never tried strawberry milkshakes. If it wasn't for Star Trek Discovery in one of the seasons talking about tardigrades, I wouldn't have known about them. Do you see what I'm saying here? When we are involved in watching things for entertainment or for information, if we don't come across it for the first time, it's not going to allow us to move forward in any way, to evolve. So I'm really glad that this quarterback from the New York Jets spoke about his experience. I would like to stress that he did mention it originally back in 2016, but he did speak to a bigger audience in this TV show. Let me ask you this. Were you familiar with this story? Do you know who this person is? Because I didn't. I'm not even going to attempt to lie to you. I did not know this person, but I don't know any sports players aside from Babe Ruth. That's as far as my knowledge goes there. But let me ask you this. Were you familiar with this story or with this person? And I want to hope that this person coming forward, Aaron Rodgers, sets a foundation for other sports players to tell their experiences to the public, because that is going to inspire so many people for them to come forward. And then maybe they want to document their experiences or their sightings, have it be a civilian sighting, a pilot sighting, maybe they're part of the military, and then they got to go over to the AARO website, okay, and then tell Kirkpatrick, hey, I just had this sighting during this time frame, but unfortunately, it's coming soon on their website. So with all of the influx of people wanting to come forward, maybe, just maybe, the AARO website might push forward a little bit faster to have that reporting center open to the public. Skyhawk says, yes, I'm a cheesehead. Of course. That's good to know. I would lie if I said I knew what you were talking about, because I'm going to think like actual cheeseheads here, but I'm pretty sure it's referring to football. I know, like, I don't want to, it's okay. Stevie says, you have probably seen him in commercials, Cristina. He's very famous. I don't actually watch too much television, except if it's not like on the internet. I don't even have cable. I haven't had cable in a very, very long time, so I don't watch commercials. Sorry. Getting into our next article here, and now we're getting into the strange, and this one's referring to Peru. Many people are getting an understanding of Peru recently with the alien attacks that took place in Alto Nani back in July. But in an area actually on the opposite side of Peru, they are having, well, let me just say this, the sheep are being terrorized there. Let's pull up this image. This one's a happy image of sheep. I'm not going to show the actual one because it is a bit sad and gruesome here. But at the end of August, in the rural area of Peru, someone or something very brutally massacred 33 adult sheep and lambs. The authority blamed the puma, and the locals blame El Chupacabra and also aliens. On the 9th of August 29th, in the Peruvian province of Chincheros in the district of Ocobamba, two farmers at once found their sheep killed in a savage manner. Each had a deep hole in its head, and the lambs had their eyes removed. Later, it turned out that many sheep also had their rectum removed. Pumas? Really? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they really like that delicacy of the rectum. They're like, delicious. Let me just carefully slice that up because I'm also a surgeon slash puma. Really? Okay, let's continue on with this. The first farmer found 16 of her sheep lying dead on the ground outside the paddock where they had been that night. And then another farmer found 14 of her sheep killed in the same way. Again, a hole in the head, eyes removed, rectum removed. Pretty freaky stuff. So with this, the police station, they went to investigate it because obviously people are freaking out. And hey, me too. I'd call 911 as soon as possible. And they look at this. And there was also the National Agricultural Health Service was also involved, referred to as SENASA. And they said, nah, y'all are crazy. It's pumas. That's the only explanation here. It's pumas that have amazing surgical skills and tech. And you're out of your mind if you think it's a chupacabra or aliens. It's the puma. Come on, guys. Do keep in mind that pumas are prevalent in this area. And I went to Google Maps earlier because I wanted to see how close these mutilations were happening next to the alleged alien attacks. And they're on opposite sides of the country. So you have Alto Nani, where the attacks took place, with the alien attacks, and then you have the sheep mutilations right here. Does that mean they're two different entities if we are looking at the alien explanation? It might be, but could they just travel, right? I mean, they have advanced craft. Why wouldn't they? Possibly. We don't actually know. Is it El Chupacabra? I'm not sure here, but that is something, fun fact, that I actually learned from an episode of Scooby-Doo. Had I not watched Scooby-Doo when I was like 6, I wouldn't have known about El Chupacabra. The more you know. But I did want to show you this between what is going on in Peru and how far apart they are. There isn't that much information that is publicly available referring to these sheep mutilations at the moment, but it seems as if the case was closed and officials are saying it was just pumas here, which I don't know who's buying that, especially when we have this explanation on how these sheep look. Hole in the head, eyes removed, rectum removed. But no other blood, no other scars, no other scratches of any kind to our understanding, at least at this point in time. If you are interested in this topic, Jimmy and I did do an entire show on cattle mutilations. You can find it right here on this channel where we go into detail and on possible explanations for it. It was a really great show, so do take a look at that. But now we're getting into the paranormal. And this is one story that I'm kind of excited to read to you. And Spectre Wolf, thank you for that. It's not spooky season, it's pumpkin spice season. Pumpkin spice flavored everything. Ick. Give me candy treats instead for the gift card. Amazing. I'm feeling you on that. I like pumpkin soup. That stuff is amazing. My mom makes the best and no one can compare. But you know what? That's usually the case with moms. They just make the best dishes on the planet. But aside from that, I'm not going to lie to you. When I went to the store today, everyone's talking about pumpkin spice and I've just never really cared for it. But I thought, you know what? I'm gonna go buy some pumpkin spice creamer. Give it a shot. I threw that whole bottle away. It was sweet and a punch of cinnamon, and there was no pumpkin flavor. And this was the Starbucks brand too, because I do like their caramel macchiato creamer. That one is really good. But I did fall into the trap of the pumpkin spice, and it failed me, and I lost $6 there. I'm a bit sad. Getting into our next article here, this is referring to a haunting in the UK. Let's pull this image up because this one's really cool. Okay, here it is. There's a haunted painting up for sale in the UK. So a spooky painting of a little girl that is feared to be, quote, cursed has been returned twice to a charity shop after two different customers were freaked out by its creepy aura. The painting shows a little girl in a red dress with an unnerving facial expression and eyes that follow you, according to the shopkeeper, which back it up. There are a few famous paintings to where the portrait's eyes are able to follow you, and that is an artistic skill that is just I don't know how they do it. It's just it's just an amazing skill. So the odd portrait was donated to the Hastings Advice Representation Center, also known as Hark Shop, but it was returned twice after terrified buyers brought it back, citing the painting's spooky vibes. The manager of the Hark, Steve, confirmed that the painting's eyes follow you around the room in an uncanny way. He revealed that the painting had been originally dropped off by a middle-aged man who brought in a load of old paintings and frames to the charity shop, and Steve said that he was immediately struck by the strange quality of the painting. He says, "Oh my God, look at her face." A lady said, "Isn't it creepy?" And Steve says, "Yes, it does follow you around." The picture was initially sold to a woman for £25 or a little bit under $30, but the new owner came in 2 days later and said, "I've got to get rid of this picture and that it has an aura about it." So the portrait went back to the shop window, this time with a discount and a warning to potential buyers that the artwork was possibly cursed, which, if that isn't a dare, I don't know what is, because on the sign, we're going to get that in just a moment. On the sign, it says, "She's back, sold twice and returned twice. Are you brave enough?" Those are marketing skills. If I were to read that, I would do a very impulsive buy. I would buy it on the spot. I'd be like, look, I will take any dare. No, I won't. I will take a lot of dares and a lot of bets. And this one, if you're going to do that to me, I'll buy it. And I'm going to see what happens. So I think that is so awesome there. But it wasn't long before a second buyer went ahead and attempted to purchase this. He's like, "Oh, you want it? You want me to test it? Yeah, I'll go ahead and test it." And he bought it for £20, which is about $25. And he bought it despite the warning that we see right here in this image. However, the new owner was soon back in Steve's shop and said he became quite shaky and distressed and terrified, saying that she never wanted to see the darned thing again. That's awesome. Actually, no, it's terrifying, but at the same time, this is a story that would be in a movie or maybe even in a TV show. But we all got to start off. If the show is going to start, it's got to start with the person that dropped off all of these paintings to the charity shop, to the thrift store. That's where I want to start off with. Did he make the painting? Was the painting given to him from for generations or something? Was it cursed before it was given to him? Did he curse it? See, I have all of these questions. And if there were to be a TV show or a movie on it, the main focus has to be on the person that gave this haunted painting to the charity shop. And then everyone that's bought it just has this really creepy feeling about it. And the second owner, for the time being, for that very short time, said that since she bought it, everything was going wrong in the house. Like nothing was going right for her. And so she dropped it back off. But once once this gained a lot of momentum on social media with this picture, and people started making all these crazy comments, the second buyer, and this is really funny, the second buyer goes back to the charity shop and says, hey, look, this painting's getting a lot of fame. It's getting a lot of attention. I want it back. And I'm just going to deal with the hauntings. Makes me laugh. That is so human to do. That is the best way I can describe it. That is so human to do. If it's gaining that fame and that attention, what do you want to do? You want to get that back. Is that the case for everyone? No, but for a majority of people, yes, it is. And I find that super funny. Well, she said, I'll go ahead and I'll buy it from you. Again, I'll give you another 20 pounds for it. But Steve just gave it to her. He's like, look, you already paid for it. Just go ahead and take it back. And so we don't know who this person is, but it's no longer at this charity shop / thrift store. It is now owned and it's in someone's home. Will this person that bought it for the second time make a movie or documentary? I hope so. That'd be amazing. But we don't know anything yet. All we can do is just stay tuned here. But this isn't anything new. A few weeks ago, we covered this haunted painting painted by a Ukrainian artist, and it was bought 3 times. Every time it was then returned back to the artist because they all felt like it was haunted, that these eyes were also following the people that had purchased it. And what's really eerie about this particular painting, at least as the story goes, the artist by the name of Svetlana Telets said that she felt compelled to make this painting back in 1996. She felt like someone was watching her weeks prior to this painting, and then she painted the majority of it within the first 45 minutes, but she felt as if her hand or that something was guiding her hand to create this painting. And since that time, until she sold it those 3 times, it had this haunting feeling to it, and everyone that had purchased it, as the story goes, felt like they were being watched, felt like it was cursed, and bad things would happen in the areas that they would place the paintings in. Jim Harold has also told a handful of stories of haunted paintings as well, which are all very compelling and very interesting. But this is one particular story that really caught my interest just because this isn't anything new. This has happened time and time again. And the question is, how is that possible if true, right? That's why I really wanted to cover this one. But now we're covering the story that I'm really excited to cover with you. Because we're bringing back to the table Dracula. And here's why. Let's pull up this image because this is going to get good. I covered this, I want to say 2 weeks ago, maybe, of Dracula's information stating that after a bunch of tests, scientists believe that he was crying blood due to a certain disease that he had. But with those same pieces, that same level of research that were done on 3 letters, referring to Vlad the Impaler III, they found some other very interesting information about him. So not only was he a hardcore guy crying tears of blood, but he was also, to these researchers' understanding, as he was vegetarian. Who would have thought? Let's get into this. Because the inspiration behind Dracula may have actually been vegan or vegetarian reveals new research. So the iconic 15th century Prince Vlad III, who inspired Bram Stoker to create the character of the fictional vampire, lived in the southern region of Romania in the mid-1400s. Also known as Vlad the Impaler, the military ruler is said to have likely killed over 80,000 people, many by impalement, as the history books go. But a new chemical analysis of the letters penned by the prince have unveiled details about his health and the environment in which he lived, according to researchers, including the University of Catania in Italy. So, new research, a set of which published in the journal Analytical Chemistry, recently extracted thousands of fragments of protein molecules from the surface of these letters and isolated about 500 of those that showed signs of like degradation, of course, because it's, over 500 years old. But what they ended up finding was not only did he cry tears of blood, which we did cover a few weeks ago, but on top of that, the food proteins are found only in plant foods. The prototype vampire may have been vegan, said one of the researchers by the name of Gleb Zilberstein. That's a pretty cool last name. Zilberstein. I like it. But this is something that changes a lot of people's ideas when it comes to Dracula, right? He's meant to be this vicious bloodsucker monster that's just this horrible being. But then, looking at this research so far, they're saying, no, no, no. Actually, from our understanding on these 3 letters that we've seen thus far, he was a vegetarian, maybe even a vegan. How can you be evil and a vegan at the exact same time? You can't. But there is more information on this because during the 1400s in Romania, to these researchers' belief, there was a lot of famine in the country. So it might have been that, like, just meat wasn't available even for this guy, Vlad the Third. So they had to depend on a vegetarian diet, not because they wanted to, but because they had to. And even aristocrats in Europe reportedly had a very meager diet at the time with rare meat consumption. So that, I'm like, okay, can make a little bit of sense, but all of the headlines, if you're going to look this up, the headlines are in bold, they're in all caps, and they're saying, look, look, look. Dracula was vegan. Dracula was vegetarian, and this is going to change your life forever. I love that. Those shocky headlines, you know what? Makes me want to read that whole article. And it's really cool that they're bringing in science into this. It's not a baseless assumption. They're saying, well, after researching so many different of these proteins on this sheet of these several sheets of paper, we can come to assume here or potentially believe, but we don't have the actual facts, the actual proof, because these papers are 500 years old. It's probably been through thousands upon thousands of hands as well. They've all been passed out, right? But they are thinking that this is referring to Vlad, for one, being a vegetarian, but also crying tears of blood due to a disease that he might have had as well, which is very cool. And I was very, 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 very excited to cover this particular article with you. I think it's awesome. And all your jokes are too funny here. Spawn bringing in Hotel Transylvania quote right here. I don't go blah, blah, blah. Which, great one. The first movie, really enjoyed that when it came out. Gosh, what, 10 years ago? 15 years ago? Something like that? Great movie. Machine says, what about garlic, though? I have no idea. I don't know where garlic gets into all of this, except that garlic is good on almost everything. It's delicious. And if you can't eat garlic for some reason, why? It's good on almost everything. It's so good. Okay. Getting into our next article here, because this one's kind of funny. Let's pull this one up. By the way, the word of the day is #autumn. Put that in the live chat for a $50 Starbucks or Amazon gift card. If you want to make someone's day, you can put in a super chat that says for the gift card, and we'll do the drawing at the very end of the show. But here we're looking at a human-sized hamster wheel. The U.S. Coast Guard intercepted Reza Baluchi, about 70 miles or about 110 kilometers off Tybee Island, Georgia, on August 26th. Officials said that the 44-year-old marathon runner refused to leave the floating hamster wheel-like vessel for 3 days. Mr. Baluchi has tried 3 similar voyages before, all of which ended in Coast Guard intervention. The makeshift contraption he was using is shaped as a wheel with paddles that upward as the wheel revolves, which is super cool. And it says here, based on the condition of the vessel, which was afloat as a result of wiring and buoys, U.S. Coast Guard officers determined Baluchi was conducting an unsafe voyage. And this is referring to a criminal complaint. Mr. Baluchi's voyage began as officials were prepared for the arrival of a major hurricane, and officials said he refused to step off the vessel and threatened to kill himself, and he also mentioned that there was a bomb on board, and this was according to court papers. But on September 1st, he eventually surrendered and abandoned his vessel after being brought to a Coast Guard base in Miami. And after they went ahead and the Coast Guard looked at this hamster wheel, the bomb was fake. There was no bomb on board. So that was, that level, that threat is pretty dangerous when it comes to court. So he is now facing federal charges of obfuscation of a boarding and a violation of a captain of the port order as well. But here's the crazy thing about this story. Okay. Because you might think like, Christina, this isn't that wild. Why are you telling the story? Because it gets weirder. And the thing is that, as I had said it a little bit earlier, this is not the first time this has happened. He has tried this 3 other times and he's been arrested every single time. But you see, this man is determined. He is determined to cross the ocean from point A to point B. And he tries different parts of the United States coast to go ahead and fulfill his dream. What is his dream? You and I, we have no idea. But he did mention to the WOFL TV in Orlando back in 2021 that his goal is not only to raise money for homeless people, but to also raise money for the Coast Guard and raise money for the police department and also raise money for the fire department. So he is doing this as charity work. Now, is that true? Because you can just say anything that you want these days because your word is not your bond anymore. Could he just say that? Yeah, of course. It makes him sound good. It makes him sound heroic and amazing. But is that true? You and I, we have no idea. We can't read minds. And honestly, most of the time, I don't want to read people's minds. I don't want to know what they're thinking. But I do want to know what this man was thinking right here when he did this 3 times in a row. Doing the first one in 2014, the second one in 2021, and the third one in 2023, all 3 times getting arrested. Is it worth it? Maybe for this guy. Is it worth it for you? Probably not. But I will say this contraption that he made is pretty impressive. I would lie to say that I wasn't impressed. This is pretty impressive. Now, I do hope during the time that he was on this little hamster wheel for 3 days, hopefully he brought some food, maybe some protein bars. It'd be super cool if he had just like maybe just a little lunchbox with some snacks, because that's 3 days. I don't know how he did it, but you know what? That is determination right there. So more power to him. Is he going to do this again? Based off of what he's done previously, yes, it seems like he might. And while we're still looking at our oceans, which are monster soup, it is monster soup, every single one of them, they found monster soup in the monster soup. Let's pull this image up. They're referring to this as the golden egg, but I'm not buying it. I am seeing a sludgy alien monster here from monster soup. Let's get into this. Because researchers have made an intriguing discovery, a peculiar leathery shell found at significant depths off the coast of Alaska. This golden hue object bears a striking resemblance to the egg of a large sea creature, monster soup, But what sets it apart is that scientists appear to be encountering something of this nature for the very first time. Why is that? Well, they mentioned in this article that these guys have only discovered maybe 60% of the species in our oceans, which I would say is a pretty high percentage. Okay. And because only what? 10-15% of our oceans have been scanned and explored. That leaves 90% in the category of the unknown. So to just assume that we know 40-60% of the species in our oceans, I would say is a very, very high percentage. I would even say that 20% is a high percentage. But hey, I could be wrong. I am not anyone that is super familiar with species in our oceans by any means, but I do feel confident saying that. Do we know it even 20%? Probably not here. And honey, thank you for that. Thank you for supporting the channel. Oh, John says, I saw this in the news today. There's a lot of news outlets covering this, and they're like, it's a golden egg. It's super cool. It's super amazing. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, this is gross looking. But at the same time, super duper exciting because it is a new discovery. And even though we are living in these modern times in 2023, we're still discovering new things pretty frequently, which I love it. I love it so much. So these scientists that have looked into this, some of them have made comparisons to the movie Alien, which I think is very appropriate. It says here, when NOAA experts, referring to the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, when these experts saw the egg-like object, it brought to mind scenes from the sci-fi movie Alien, where one of the characters encounters a massive leathery cocoon egg containing an alien parasite within the space station. And that is very appropriate because when you look at this, you'll be like, yeah, I can definitely see that. And same here. So this is pretty cool. The links to the articles that I'm covering today will be in the description box below for you to read in more detail if you wish. But we're getting into those big highlights, the super cool stuff. Nobody says it could be a shark egg. That was a possible explanation, but they're still not sure. But this is something that people have thought about. It could be a shark egg. So, but Paranormal Pixie says monster eggs. Yikes. Who knows? Maybe it's the Kraken. I don't know, but I wouldn't want to meet one if I was just casually snorkeling in the ocean, which I would never casually snorkel in the ocean. But this next one, this one's funny and sad in some respects. But there is one man in Brazil that was classified as dead for 26 years, but this man is still kicking. Let's pull this image up. Here he is. A 71-year-old man from Brazil's Tocantins region was pronounced dead back in 1995 based on the testimony of his ex-wife and two witnesses. He spent the next 28 years of his life legally dead. But on August 16th, this man right here, Manuel Marquinhos de Silva, finally had his death certificate revoked after a 2-year-long court battle. To the Brazilian authorities, he had been dead and buried in a public cemetery for 28 years. But this has only become a problem for the man himself about 2 years ago when he couldn't collect his pension and couldn't get access to free healthcare based on his insurance. That's when he started investigating his quote death and learned that his ex-wife and two witnesses had declared him dead to authorities. It's unclear to why this man's ex-wife declared him dead back in 1995, but he claims he only found out about it back in 2012 when he tried to vote in a local election, only to be told that he was not on the list and that he appeared to be deceased, at least in the paperwork. But at that time, he didn't really care too much about it. But in recent years, his deceased status started affecting his life more frequently, specifically his pension. So when he started losing money and he was unable to make medical appointments, among other setbacks, he says, I need to look into this. Why is this happening? So he needed to hire a lawyer to consent the death certificate and obtain a brand new birth certificate. After a test of his fingerprints, this helped him state that he was alive, even though he was standing right there in front of you. But he also needed several witnesses to confirm that he wasn't actually dead. Why is that? Great question. Because people are going to fake their deaths and fake being alive all the time in order, usually, it's for money, right? So they had to do this whole process in order for everything to be in tip top shape, to be legal, and to be right as well. But when questions were asked stating, why do you think your ex-wife declared you as deceased? What's the big deal? His children believe that their mother, who is illiterate, was misled into declaring him dead. And at the time, he didn't really care or like why that all happened. He's just glad that now it's taken care of. So that's a pretty strange story, if you ask me. And yet, there are similar stories like this across the world. It's just weird. It really is. Our next one is just as weird as this one, if not weirder. I love trying new foods. Whenever I'm going anywhere that isn't my home, I like to try the local food. I like to try street food if I can. But this one's a unique one because in China, there is this street food that just recently went viral, and it's grilled spiced ice. First of all, say that 3 times fast, but I'm not joking here because videos of people grilling ice cubes and seasoning them with sauce and spices has been doing the rounds on Chinese social media and leaving people with unanswered questions, and many, to say the least. According to a number of news reports from China, the bizarre street snack was made famous by a short clip shot at a street food stall in Nanqiang, Jiangxi province. In it, we can see large ice cubes being cooked on an open grill and seasoned with sauces and spices before being served on a plate. But we can't actually see anyone eating this dish in the video, but it is apparently very popular on hot summer days, especially since it's offered as a free treat. That's pretty cool. It's free. After the original video went viral, Chinese news outlets managed to track down the street food stall operator and learned more about this rather popular dish. And apparently, the man came up with the idea for grilling ice on a hot day as a way to cool people off. It was originally meant as a joke, but people ended up loving it, so he just kept on making it, that's how you do it. And the bizarre street food doesn't cost anything, but people wanting to try it, and there are reportedly plenty, have to request it in advance. Now, you might be asking yourself, does this count as a hot food, as a cold food? Well, it's tricky because it is cooked on an open flame, but not enough for the ice to melt completely. And how do you eat this? Do you just like suck on the spices and then just let the ice dissolve? Do you crunch on it and like give it a good chew? Don't know. There isn't a video of people actually eating this. But if given the opportunity, would I try this? Yeah. Can I make it at home? Most definitely, yes. Would I? I don't, not casually. I don't think so because, fire and ice, they don't get along. They're not friends. They're not besties. Why would you bother? Well, in this case, it's to cool people off. And I also want to know, what kind of spices are they putting on there? Are they spicy spices? Are they mild spices? Are they tasty spices? I have all of these questions. Do they put soy sauce on it? I need to know these answers, but I don't have the answers. Do you have the answers? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the live chat as well. But let me ask you this right off the bat. Would you even bother trying this? First of all, it's free, which is like a big plus to many. But let's say it wasn't. Let's say it was like, I don't know, $1 a plate, $2 a plate, whatever. Would you wait in line, pay for it, and give it a try? I think I would. Mainly just because I like these weird type of snacks. And Chinook says, hey, it's low fat. Definitely is. Canoodle says, barbecue snow cones. You know what? That's almost as bad as like pickle juice snow cones. I don't get the hype on that one. Mark says, the 1 cube challenge. Chris says, it'll be too hot for me. It's funny. IXOXI says, I like my ice well done. That was a funny one. I do like that one. It's too funny. It's too good. Well, I got one final article for you today before we do the drawing for a $50 Starbucks or Amazon gift card. That word is #autumn. Oh, and Bob, thank you for that. Looking at 70 right there. And I'm so sorry I missed that one. Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. And I did say thank you to Honey for that. All right, so let's get into our last one. Hag says it should try deep fried. There was something that I recently came across of a food that was so bizarre to be deep fried. I can't remember what it was. I know avocados is a weird one. I have tried deep fried Oreos, and they're not that great. I did not enjoy those. But there's also like deep fried Snicker bars. Those are pretty interesting. But for the most part, everything tastes better fried. Almost everything. Getting into our last article of the day and peace of mind, reading my mind, like it. Ooh, deep fried ice cream, that one. French kiss, that one's delicious. Good every time. Okay. People really liking the Mars bars, deep fried Mars bars. See this one and this one. Wow, all y'all are on the same wavelength there. Super cool. No, deep fried butter, hard pass. Okay, getting into this last one, because this one is a whack. All right, let's pull up this image here. I'm not even going to tell you. I'm just going to pull up this image. Because this guy right here was found at Goodwill. And for those that don't know, Goodwill is a thrift store. And so in Goodyear, Arizona, the police department said a human skull was found in a Goodwill donation box. And this skull might have been historic. Like a historic ancient skull. And this was just recently found within the last few days. So a picture provided by Goodyear police showed the skull covered in dark black spots with the upper front teeth still attached and a false eye set on the left eye socket. An unknown donor decided to clean out the skeletons, or at least a portion of a skeleton, from a closet, prompting a police investigation in Goodyear, Arizona. The Goodwill staff followed company protocol by immediately reporting the donation to Goodyear police, and they continued to cooperate with the police investigation, according to a spokesperson for Goodwill of Central and Northern Arizona. Lisa Berry, who is the public information officer at the Goodyear Police Department, said, we did speak with the medical examine office, and they did confirm that it is in fact a human skull. But at this point, and this is preliminary, it appears to be historic, ancient, and it does not appear to have any forensic value at all. What that means is that no crime is really attached to the skull. Dun dun dun. Can I play that really fast? Here it is. Yep, that's right. Which is weird. And there have been a handful of very weird things found in charity shops. A great example was that haunted painting in the UK. There have been super famous, super important like statue relics from, I want to say, like the Greek times or last year. Then you have human remains, which is like pretty darn scary. Luckily, no one purchased it, but the workers found the skeleton, found the skull, and they thought to themselves, they thought like, we need to call the police ASAP because this can obviously not be sold, even though it's the spooky season. We don't want to disrupt the dead, right? We don't want to do that. And so it's been taken care of. There hasn't been any more information that has come forward, but it is one that is weird. And Jonaside asks, is the skull haunted? Don't know yet. It would be interesting if it was, and very appropriate for the spooky season, if you ask me. Well, those are all of the articles today out of all the ones that we covered. Which one was your favorite? Don't do this to me. Wait. It did it to me again. What the heck? Okay. Why am I saying these things? Because the word autumn wasn't even collecting. It wasn't even working today. So everyone just please, again, put in hashtag autumn in the live chat if and only if you are watching this live, because it wasn't working. And I don't know why. And I'm even using Firefox to get it to work. So everyone put that in. I will give you a little bit of time to do so, a little bit more time than usual. And I apologize for the inconvenience. That really, really sucks. But let's try to get to 90. We have 341 people watching this live. I want every single one of you to put in hashtag autumn in the live chat. Also, like this video if you enjoyed any of the articles that we covered today. Which one was your favorite? You might have guessed. My favorite was about Dracula and him being a vegetarian. I find that super duper awesome. But also, I think another one that I really enjoyed was the haunted painting. That one was super cool. Y'all are so fast with your entries. I'll give you about 3 minutes to everyone to put that in. I have 340 people watching. I want 300 entries. Come on. Chance to win a $70 Starbucks or Amazon gift card. And hey, if you're into pumpkin spice, today's your lucky day because you probably get that if you really, really want it. All right, 70. Y'all are so quick. You make me blush. That's amazing. So while we're waiting on people to put in their entries, tell me, what was your favorite article? I want to read them out live. Let's see. I'm trying to look as fast as I can here. Yeah. Y'all are so quick at this. Amazing. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, Spectre Wolf says, I think the Peru sheep story was interesting, but vegan Dracula was great. Oh, yes. And by the way, that is the only proper way to say Dracula, is just like that. It's not Dracula. It's Dracula. Okay? That's it. It's only one way to say it. Chris says all of them. Because I read my name and your name at the same time, and it just came out as Cristina. But Chris, yes. All of them were good. Today was a good week for strange articles, strange news. 90 entries, come on. We're so close. Rush, saying it how it is. Dawn says, paint those crazy eyes. Yeah, eyeballs that can follow you in a painting is amazing. Like, that is an artistic skill that I do not comprehend. I don't even know how that's possible, but it's super duper cool. Unless it's haunted, then maybe it's like a little bit less cool, you know? So Laura says, blah, blah, blah. Yes. It's great stuff. Great stuff right there. John says, the golden egg seems fascinating, but I want to try the ice. Well, if you have a grill at home, or I guess in this case outside, give it a try. And then take some pictures, tag me on Twitter at eyes_on_the_skies, because I want to hear what you thought about it, if it was good. But we don't even know what spices were on it. So that is the downfall there. Really is. All right, let's go ahead and do that drawing. I'm going to give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2. Jeremiah, thank you. Vlad is vegan. That should be a t-shirt. That'd be the funniest shirt ever. Yes. All right, here we go. We're doing that right now. See. Bonnie, congratulations. You are the winner today. Please send me an email with your YouTube URL. And if you'd prefer a Starbucks or Amazon gift card, my email is in the description box below. Once I get that from you, I will send over your winnings. Congratulations. That is it for today. If you enjoyed the show, please hit the like button, subscribe as well, because we do so many shows right here every single week. Also, follow me on Twitter at eyes_on the skies for all of my updates and news. Also, take a look at my Instagram at Strange Paradigms, where I share pictures and short videos as well. If you want to continue this conversation, bring it over to the Discord server with 2,000 other like-minded members. Share your thoughts, your insights, your experiences, and more. I know one of my amazing mods will share that link in the live chat. If you are enjoying everything that you're seeing on this channel, consider being a Patreon supporter. All the funding goes straight to the channel, to Puck the Puckwudgie, and to the RV Fund, where I'll be traveling the United States, hitting all the UFO and paranormal hotspots, documenting it, and taking you on the journey with me. That is it for today. I will see you next time. Be safe, and remember, keep your eyes on the skies.